Hi guys, welcome to Otto's Garage. Well, it's a bit of a late one at the garage tonight. What I have done is just had a quick look at the bonnet pins, which are these puppies here. So we fitted these into the fiberglass bonnet a while ago, but I never got around to actually putting the pins in on the bodywork. So I'll just have a quick look at the job there and you can see what we've done to it. The pins that I've used are these carbon fibre look. So they're not actually carbon fibre, but you know, they've got that carbon fibre look to it. Haha, that's what they call carbon fibre look. Anyway, dead easy. You press the back here, that bit flicks up, and then you can basically, well, you can just see inside. See that red bit there? That's the pin that we fitted. And then this spring mechanism, as you shot it, drives a pin through the red pin basically and locks the two together so it can't come undone. And then inside, we just open the bonnet up. So that's the back of the pin up there. So you've got to cut out a hole in the back of the bonnet. I'll tidy that up again, you know, before we actually come to complete everything. So what I've done is I've just taken a little bit of inch by inch angle. We've welded a captivated nut on the back of it, and then basically we've then dropped the pin through it and put a lock washer on there as well. And then you've got this bit of rubber which goes over it, and you can trim that down to whatever size, because obviously depending on your bodywork and where this is fixed, the pin will need cutting down, and this bit of rubber will also need cutting down. And what that does is when the bonnet shuts, it sits on top of the rubber, and that basically creates a bit of resistance to it to stop it rattling around. But quite a simple job to do. Obviously we've had to grind a bit of paint off and get it welded back on there. And we've done exactly the same on the other side. That one over there. And then basically what you do is to fit it, I shut the bonnet and then just looked vertically down and then put a little mark on the paint below. And then just put one little tack on the side, offered it all up, see what it's like. I did have to move it once or twice to get it in the right position before putting the full weld on it. And then basically you can just give the top of it a little bit of a tweak. So I just put a tube over it and gave it a little bit of a bend, and that got it in exactly the right place. So when the bonnet shuts down, it goes over it, drops down and appears through underneath. And then you can just shut the latch down and flick it down into place. Kaboosh. Nice latches those, Car Builder Solutions. They got lots of great little gear like that, and yeah, not expensive at all. I didn't see the point of going for full carbon on it, but anyway, you might want to do that. They do a fully carbon one as well. The list on the wall is starting to get some jobs ticked off it, so I think tomorrow I may well have a look at the gear lever, because I'm going to build a new position for the gear lever and lift that up off the floor a little bit. The brake pedals as well, they need a bit of work, so we might just have a bit of fiddle with the gear lever and the brake pedals. We'll see what occurs. Gear lever. So on the original we have a which is bolted down into here, and then the rod shoots through and goes through that hole over there basically. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a tower, if you like, a gear shift tower. So we're going to lift this up. Rather than it being low down, it'll be a little bit higher, as you've seen in the Group A cars. But we're going to make that ourselves. So that's what we've got at the moment. I am going to reuse these two holes here and this one over here for mounting, but we do need to put another one in over on that side. So I'm going to do that with a riv nut. That'll be fine in there. That's probably the first thing to do, and then what I'll do is I'll use that in effect as a jig for the base. So then we'll just build off it. So this is the standard gear shift, and this is the bit that mounts basically down where we just said on the transmission tunnel. The selector rod basically runs all the way through, and that connects to the gearbox at that end. This is just a location piece basically. So when we build a tower, we'll have a rigid platform here, so we can basically get rid of the location rod and get rid of this rear mounting bush rod as well. So I'm only interested in this centerpiece here, and obviously where the lever pivots and where it comes onto the gear selector rod at the bottom. So we're going to cut this away, but first things first, I'm going to dismantle that, take that off. The other thing I want to have a look at as well is whether I can change the pivot fulcrum point on here and make that a little bit longer. So if we can make that longer, that'll give us a quick shift kit at the same time. Right, and this is the ingredients. So I've got a couple of CDS bars there, they're 8mm. A bit of flat, that's a couple of mil by 25, and then some perforated angle as well. So what I'm going to do is get the 2 bars running up each side. They'll be located down onto the transmission tunnel. They're going to form the legs, and then basically this can be used for a bit of corner reinforcement, and we're bound to need a bit of flat there for some reinforcement as well somewhere. And then what I'll do is I'll make a bend a flat top on it, which this can then bolt down onto, or something like that. Anyway, we'll see how we go. Right, I've stripped that down, so now we've got some of the parts basically. What we're going to do is we're going to harvest out this centerpiece here. I don't need any of these other bits around there, but where this grey cap was fitting over there, I'm basically going to cut round that, so we've got the ball joint, if you like, and then that can be fixed onto the top of our new gear turret, if you like, our gear lever turret. So I'm going to cut all that out now anyway, and then we'll have a look at starting to make it. Okay, that's the bit that we need. So you can see there, it's got that important cup in the middle of it. I'm just going to tidy that up, and then that's the basis for our gear shift. Right, from looking at some pictures, what I've been able to determine is that the base of the lever sits probably about 125mm higher than where its original position was, give or take. Now the only way I've been able to do that without having some drawings is I've literally looked at the pictures on the Messenger, Facebook, stuff like that, and basically I've just scaled off it with the old vernier gauges and then just multiplied it up a bit. But I'm going to go with about 125. We'll lift it up to that. What I'll do with the lever itself afterwards, well, that's anyone's game. We might modify this, we might find something completely different. But at the moment, I'm not too fussed about that. It's getting the tower built, and then when the lever's in place, we can fiddle about with the lever afterwards. So the next thing to do is basically superimpose our ball cup, if you like, we'll call it that, no pun intended, onto a piece of plate that we can bend and ultimately use for welding our legs to. So it needs to be something half decent really, because otherwise it's just going to all go wibbly wobbly. But we can reinforce, obviously we've got some other bits of material that we can reinforce the edge. So I'm going to cut out a tower top, and then we'll put a bend at each end of it as well, and then the leg can come up and follow it down to the back of the car. Sorry, to the back of the transmission tunnel there. So I'll cut that out first and you'll see what I'm on about. So this is our top plate, and what I want to do is put a bend at one end of it, which will be the handbrake end, if you like, nearest the driver. And then we'll have a flat section on the top, and we'll have another bend at the other end, which will go down to the front mount. So basically, this doesn't want to be 90 degrees, but these are great little tools just for doing a bit of metal work for me. So I'm just going to give that a nearly 90 degree bend, which is cool, like that. And loosen her out. And you can see how that gives that a nice beveled edge on there. So now I need to work out where the handbrake's going to fit on there. Sorry, the gear lever mount is going to fit on it. And then we're going to put another mount bend at the front. And that'll have a slightly different angle on that. But it wants to be about kind of just in front of it there. Everything's really well worked out on here. It's all trial and error. But anyway, that's the best way I find. So we're going to get another bend in there, and we'll go nearly 45, I think, but not quite 45 on that. So we're going back to the other side, and we'll just see, get that square. The old builder's eye comes in handy for getting things square, and this one doesn't want to be anything like 90 degrees. It's a much shallower pitch on that back piece. And then I think what we'll do is, okay, so we'll go to there, and we'll just try her in the car and see what she looks like. So you can see there, that's now formed quite a nice bend at each end of it. Right, let's try her in the car. Right, so you can see there, that's going to be mounted up here somewhere, and when I'm looking down vertically, those are pretty good bends on those. Cool. So what we'll do now is we'll make some bar which is going to replicate that angle, so we'll have to bend the bar as well, a piece on each side of that, and then we can offer that up and cut the legs off it to get it the right height. Okay. So I've bent the 8mm bar, and that's kind of following the same profile as our top plate. You could just do this out of a bit of straight and weld it on another piece of straight there, but that is going to give us so much more strength having a continuous bar going all the way around. So what we need to do now, before anything else, I think is cut the hole in the top of this for the gear mount, and then we can start tacking those sides on there. When they're tacked on as kind of a unit, if you like, it'll just give us a bit more idea of where the legs are going to need cutting off, etc. So we'll just put like a little tack in each corner, and then we can work from there basically. But the first thing to do is get that hole cut in the top. Right, one of the things about doing these projects is that you never seem to quite have the right tool. I needed a 60mm hole cutter on that, and I've only got a, I think it's a 54. So basically, I've cut through it, and what we're going to do is get around it basically. So we've got a die grinder with a tungsten carbide tip, excuse my French, and we're just going to open that hole out a bit. And we'll try her again. Bingo! And that is where we want to be. So, next job is drill those holes for the mounting, and then basically we're good to do a bit of welding up, I think. Cool. Okay, we'll get a couple of tacks on here and then just see what it looks like in the car. So we don't want to go too crazy with that just yet because it might have to come off. And the other thing we're going to do is just brace it up with a magnet. Okay, so that has now got the basis of our gear lever tower. So what we can do, we're still going to be able to move the legs around a little bit because it's only tacked at the moment, but at least that's given us the shape. Okay, so now we've welded that up, let's just have a look and see what it's like in the car. So you get the idea now of how much that's being lifted up to put the gear lever up nearer the steering wheel, basically. So that's the idea behind it. We've still got a bit of good clearance down here for the handbrake, so that's cool. What I need to do now is create a bracket. So I'm going to weld a piece of flat on the bottom of that, and then that'll have 2 holes in it to bolt down at this end. And then we'll do something similar at the front. However, we have got to watch that we're not interfering with where the gear lever, or sorry, the gear shaft, change shaft is coming through underneath. So what I might do here is just have 2 little L-shaped pieces to go on the bottom of those 2 legs, and then that keeps this clear in between for the gear selector shaft to come through. So that's the next job. Right, here's a top tip for you. If you've got a short piece of metal that needs some holes in it, just measure it up, drill the holes in first, Then you've got a good bit of leverage to hold the piece by, and then cut it off afterwards. Much simpler. Right, made up the rear mount, and I've elongated, or sorry, I've just made those holes bigger basically because the actual plate on the Lancia isn't on straight, and I don't like the look of that. So basically, that gives us just a little bit to play with to set everything straight. So I'll get that one tacked on, welded on there, and then we can have a look at the front feet. And the other thing that I've done, if you look down, you can just see I've splayed this leg out because it needs to get across to the tunnel a little bit more on the right hand one. But that's a good thing because that's giving us a bit of pyramid stability basically, so that's quite cool. Well, I've just welded up those feet now and we've put it back into the car, so let's have a look and see what she looks like. And there it is. So you can see those feet that I've put on the front. That was the original bolt that was in the thread that was in the transmission tunnel, and then I put a riv nut on the other side here. And what I found the easiest thing to do for welding those was to bolt the back plate down that we made previously, bolt the foot on each side, and then come in the car and just put a tack on the bottom of the legs there, then take the whole thing out and weld it all up. But now I've just put the gear lever in there as well, and you can see the height of that now across to where the steering wheel will be, so that's much more ergonomic in that position. Like I said before, we've still got to have a bit of a look at the gear lever, the stick itself, and just see whether we're going to change the fulcrum down here, in effect make that a bit longer down there, which will make it a quick shift kit. But in any event, I'm well pleased with that. That's another big step forward. It's cost me, I think, probably about £23 in material to make that, and of course a whole load of time as well. But that's what it's all about, isn't it? Is making these bits and getting them to fit. So that's a big step forward again. Hope you've enjoyed that episode there of how to make yourself a turret for your gear stick. You could do it on any car, I guess, but it's all about the Lancia at the moment, obviously. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend and a great week, and I'll see you on the next episode of Otto's Garage.